Hello again everyone, and welcome to Stitch Bliss Corner. Mary Rose here. Thank you for stopping by again if you come and see me regularly or if you're just coming back after a while. And to anyone new that's watching, welcome as well. Now I've got a real mixed bag today, and normally I put everything in order and that sort of thing, but today I just felt a bit haphazard, so it's going to be a haphazard one and quite a mix of different things as well. I'm going to say a thank you to one of my viewers. I'm going to do a shout out to Jay of Tree Stitches. I'm going to show you some of my sister's artwork. People expressed a wish to see some of her work, so I'm going to do that. And also the alpha stitch, which I shall explain not too far away. So once again, I have to apologise for my throat. I think forces start when I when I start doing a Flosstube. All sorts of things happen. Anyway, so here we go. Now the thank you to the viewer, and that is because if you recall, I mentioned how my glasses when I'm talking, not so much these because these seem to stay put, but these glasses, when I'm wearing them and I'm speaking to you, they slide down my nose very slowly, and how it annoyed me. Well, one of my wonderful commenters told me about something called nerd wax, and let me just say, I haven't got her permission to say her name, but her initials are LLR. So I think you know who you are, and thank you so much for doing that and for caring enough to put a comment in and tell me about this product. Now, I haven't used it yet. My husband found a supplier in Australia that makes it. So you and I are opening this together now for the first time. The appropriately crackly paper. And what would Flosstube be without it? I mean, seriously. I don't know who it annoys. I really enjoy hearing crackling. But anyway. Nerd wax, the original glasses wax. And what you have to do, you wipe off your glasses with a cloth to remove any surface oils. Twist the dial thingy, that's this here, 2 to 3 full turns, so lots of nerd wax is showing. You apply it directly to the nose pads, that's there and there, of your glasses, using the edge. Lay it on thick. Don't be shy. If you use too much, you can always wipe it off later. Nose pads like this, no problemo, just cake it on those little guys. Nerd wax will wear off naturally over time. Any residue left over can simply be wiped off with a paper towel. For videos and more application tips, visit thenerdwax.com. Well, so there's the directions, and so I suppose it sounds a little bit like what do you call it, lip balm or something. Oh, it's got a, what's it say? After removing the seal, you may begin binge watching Star Trek. Well, this person's obviously got a real sense of humour. Well, I don't watch Star Trek. I mean, I used to watch the very early ones where, Beam Me Up Scotty and all that sort of thing. And when people just used to disappear and then reappear somewhere else. So I was quite fascinated with that. I wish we could do that, because it'd be so easy to travel, wouldn't it? You could go to all these stitching retreats just like that. As long as your stitching went with you. Yeah, so you wind it out like that and then you smear it on the glasses. But I won't be doing that in this. But I just thought anyone who has the same problem as me might be interested in that. because I fiercely do not advertise anything on my videos. I'm here for the love of cross stitch and nothing else. So that's just the way I roll. Okay, now the shout out to Jay. Now 4 or 5 days ago, might have been a bit less than that, Jay put out a video, and she was in bed and she was feeling really low, but she still summoned up the courage to put a video out and just to let us know that she was, going reasonably okay. And then a spider was harassing her. Well, she still didn't put her off. She kept on videoing. And then after that, a few days later, she did feel better, and she went into her, not her usual spot, but she was there talking about things, and she was painting. She had a colouring book, or a painting book with thick pages, so that you can paint in it. And she was doing a great job with that. And then she was talking about all different things, and waxing lyrical most of the time, and being quite philosophical at times, and battling through, as only Jay can do it the classy way she does it. She's just phenomenal. And she had this lovely purple, she called it a Yeti outfit. It looked a bit like a mop, but it looked really good on her. But Jay, if you're watching, I really do think that you should write a children's book, because you have a fabulous imagination. And when you started talking about mermaids growing feet when they came out of the water at midnight, I just thought that was so beautiful. And I seriously think that you should sit there and put some of your thoughts together with the thought of a child in mind, because I think you'd do a great children's book. Anyway, all the best to you, Jay. I know that you and your girls watch me on a Sunday when you're feeling okay. So this is just to let you know that I think of you a lot, and I do enjoy your videos very much. Whether you're in bed, if you're having a bad day, whatever it may be, I will always find time to watch you, because I think you're wonderful. Right, anyway, so now my sister's artwork. Now, I have this book here, and it's called a tree book. And what I do is, this is an old one. I've got two actually. One from when I was overseas, and I didn't have this one with me because I've had this one for years. I've got, well, you'll see in a minute what I've got in here. So this was the original, and I have another one as well. But this is where I ask people who visit, or members of the family, friends, to draw a tree for me. And this is my tree book. Now I would suggest to you, I've got one here that my father did, my late father. And it's an oak tree. I mean, I don't know, some people haven't seen oak trees because they don't grow everywhere, but that is an essence he's caught there. And then and this one, that's my late mother. She did an elm tree. But as you can see, the pencil, it's quite difficult to see it. So I would suggest to anyone, if they were thinking of starting a tree book, they're much better off to use pen or a dark pencil. I mean, as you can see, oops, sorry, a pen shows up a lot better. So this is full of trees that people have done for me. And I'll just show you now my sister's tree. Just covering her name. I'm very, very staunch about protecting people's identity. And that, of course, is a willow. And you can see from that the gift that she has. And I can remember when she was 15, because I'm about 8 years younger than her. But she's always been somebody that I idolised, actually. But I'm not going to get emotional because she's so sweet. But anyway, when she was about 15, she was out in the garden and she was drawing a blade of grass. And you could almost pick it up off the page. And she'd had no training. So it's a gift that she has. Anyway, a while ago I did ask her, she sent me this beautiful scarf. Just look at it. Look at the butterflies on. Look at that one. Beautiful. Anyway, I know she watches my videos. I did ask her if she would do me a little picture, just, of butterflies and my favourite, an English rose, wild rose, not the full-blown roses. And she did send me for the most amazing painting. I was absolutely overwhelmed by what she sent me. And I shall show that to you now. And there's a lot of symbolism in this. I'm just going to cover her signature. A lot of symbolism in this picture. She's put in my beautiful English wild roses. These are symbolic of my sisters and myself, the eggs in there. She's got a butterfly, beautiful primroses. I absolutely love primroses. And she's put my butterfly too in there. She's put a dragon there and the roots of the family. So many symbols in there. She's put my lovely Tudor rose up here. Quite exquisitely beautiful. And I was so moved by the time that she took in doing that, because I was just envisaging a little watercolour that she could knock out in an hour, and she went to so much trouble to do this. And she's put the initials up here of the children that we've all had and everything. Just lovely. And I don't have the words of how much I appreciate the amount of time that took. And when my daughter got married, you know how you have the bouquet and everything, and you want to try and preserve it. Well, some people do preserve them now in a big glass case. They get them dried in some way. There is a technique, and they have them under glass. But my daughter's bouquet was quite big, and it just wasn't practical. So she saved some some blossoms from it, but that's as far as it went. But my sister immortalised her wedding bouquet with a painting that she did for me, which again I did ask her if she would mind doing that. And this is the one that she did. Tried to put some sticky on there to hide her signature. I mean, it's just beautiful, isn't it? She's got a butterfly in there again as well. So, I mean, they're masterpieces. And I, again, was so grateful to her, and my daughter was, of course. I mean, my daughter's just moved into her first home now, and this will be going out there. It's been here for safekeeping. well, they were renting houses, but now it can go to where it belongs, which is wonderful. But I do have other works that my sister's done that aren't paintings. She did do models. She doesn't do those now because she's retired now. But she has painted on porcelain for a very famous company for many years. And she did beautiful plaques and things that are now in people's houses that will be heirlooms in the future. So we're all very proud of her in our family. You know, I have two sisters and they're both wonderful. And they both have great strengths in many different ways. But I just thought that since someone had asked about seeing some of her work, that I would just show you, and I've done that. So thank you very much to my sister for all that she's done for me. Okay, now we're going to move on to, it's just as well I write things down. Oh yes, no, I've had a finish on Beach Babies. So, and naturally enough, I always laugh when I even talk about this piece because, I mean, why would you not? I mean, it's just delightful. And Dina from Half Stitch Cross Stitch, she was the one that, it was through her that I even knew anything about this piece. And she said that mine looks fuller than hers in some way. But I think Dina's looks absolutely wonderful. She's gifted it to a friend now. Now, as you can see, I've couched now all around the figures. And I was thinking of trying to show you that while I was doing it. But it's a bit like if you're freelance writing something, you can't really show someone when you're doing something that is evolving as you're doing it. I mean, well, I suppose you can, but I decided that, well, and I had to get everything organised too, you know, the overhead camera and all the rest of it, and I thought, look, all I want to do is stitch this, really, and I'm not even sure that anyone would be that interested in watching me go around the edge. But it's really just that I do not do backstitch at all, unless it calls for, you know, a few stitches here and there. I just use the long thread and couch it, making sure that when my needle comes up, it goes down into the same needle hole, so that there's no evidence that it's been there, really. For all around here, it's all around the legs and everything, that's all couching. That little spot there, that's just the pattern of the swimsuit going through there. Yeah, so anyway, there is a finish, and thank you, Dina. I must confess that I think of you when I look at that picture. Now, the other thing I thought I would show you, I think Primitive Stitcher, I was watching one of her videos, and she was saying, or referring to her favourite tools that she uses. So I thought, well, I'll just show you two or three of my favourite. I'm never far away from a pair of tweezers. They're excellent for pulling out stitches or picking up a thread when you just, oh, sorry everyone, for people watching the first time, this is where I had surgery on my head there. It was just a little bony piece that had to come out. It was sort of floating around in there. And so the hair hasn't quite grown back yet. So that's what that is, just in case you were wondering. Right, yes, so I always use tweezers. That's the first thing. I always have them nearby. I also have this hole punch that punches a single hole like that, and that is very handy for when I am doing a dimensions kit. And I have to say something about dimensions as well. They're charts. I think they can be very confusing. I like dimensions kits, don't get me wrong, but I wish they would put a separate chart in for the highlights, because they put the highlights and everything all on the one chart, and it can be very confusing. You know, you've got lines here, there and everywhere, so I have to highlight all my grid lines so I know exactly where they are, which means you have to print out another one so that you don't you know, damage the original chart. And it's a lot of malarkey. I mean, that's what you buy a kit for. You buy a kit so that it's all a lot easier. But their charting, I do think that they could do something about that, because it's not good. Naturally enough, I can't really show you what I'm talking about. But I think anyone who has a dimensions chart and they have a look at it can see that there are so many different crisscrossing lines that are for the highlights, that it makes it very confusing at times for a, you know, a simple brain like mine anyway. So but I will show you this little bit here. Now this is a dimensions colour palette, and what I do with my little hole punch is I punch a hole above. See, that normally is just a card with no holes in it, but I've put holes in. I don't know, I might have had a few wines too many when I was doing it, because it's not very even, is it? But anyway, so I push my hole punch onto it like that, press, and then I get the hole there. Sorry, the hole. And what it means is when I've used a thread and I've got some left over, I can just put it on the other side there, just to make it easy. So that's my little tip for that. Let's pop that up there. And what was the other thing I was going to show you? Oh yes, my scissors. Now I do have my traditional crane scissors, you know, the bird with the beak, but I also have these, and they, as you can see, do it properly here, they have a curve on the end there, and I find that very handy, because when you're snipping you can't accidentally then cut any of your fabric because your scissors are curved. Now I got these from the chemist, and I think they're toenail clippers actually, you know, scissors, because they've got that curve for when you, but they can be used for stitching as well. So I think that they would be cheaper than if you went to try and get a pair from, you know, someone that was specialising in stitching. I think probably they're cheaper from the chemist. But anyway, that's what I use there. So that's another little tip from me that you didn't ask for, but anyway, not to worry. Now the other thing is I came across this, and some people have seen this before, but it's a very close-up picture of Hardanger. And I thought, well, this is a very good way of explaining, because I've spoken before about how Hardanger is very good for full coverage if you want extra detail on the face and you want to do little stitches for the face, but the rest you want just full stitches. And this is what Hardanger is so good for, because as you can see here, you can split that stitch in and do a stitch there, a stitch there, a stitch there and a stitch there for a finer face. And then around it you can do the bigger full stitches, which with Ada you can't do, because Ada is constructed in a different way. So that's why I think Hardanger is so good for that. The only thing with Hardanger though is it's a softer sort of stitch, weave, a softer weave, so it's not as sturdy as Ada is. So anyway, that's just another observation. What else have we got over here? Right, now we're going to get now towards the alpha stitch. And the alpha stitch is in the Greek alphabet. Alpha is the first. It's A in the Greek alphabet. And I was thinking about my first stitch into my heaven on earth mystic stitch that I'm going to be starting. And I thought, my first stitch is going to be called my alpha stitch. And the last stitch in it is going to be the omega stitch, which is the last letter of the Greek alphabet, the omega. So today I'm going to do my first stitch, my alpha stitch, with you all, because I'm starting this one today. Now, just before I do that though, I thought that I would just show you what I do, because I've got everything here to show you how I start my big projects. I have done a video on this before, but this is just because I'm taking you along for the ride. But anyway, so I've put out all of my threads on my card here, but I'm just going to show you now how I prepare the thread to go on the card. So what I do is I get my skein, and of course I take off the markers. Now that one, as you can see, has got the number 208. 208, yeah. I always put that in an area to the side so that if I forget the number or something distracts me or something else, I know exactly where the identification number is until I've actually written it on my card, and then I can throw it away. So I get the skein out and then I go like that. And I find, now this is not an exact science, because most times it works out fine and other times it can get a bit tangled. But mostly I've found that this works really well for me. Now you need to get it sort of like, hang on a tick. I think having soft hands is the key in all this, because if you start being, strict with it, it doesn't like it. Thread's got a way of wanting to be free and easy, I think. Anyway, so here we are. Just getting my thread. Yes, I think this one's decided to give me a bit of trouble. But anyway, so what I do, I put that over my hand like that. Now I've got my one end here and the other end is in there somewhere, and I just pull it. I don't always hold on. See, I'm not holding on to that end, I'm just pulling it. So I pull, 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 and I keep going, and it just goes down to the side of me as I'm taking it off here. See, there's a little looping in there, but generally speaking it'll behave itself. And you find that it naturally just wants to unravel. So there's the other end I've got there. And now I just run it through like that. And there's the other end, and I put those two together like that. Then I come back again, get the loop and put that up again with the other threads there, back, put the loops together again, and the loops together like that. And there is my length. This end I put through the hole on my palette here. Oh, here's a spare one on the end here. I put that through the hole. You have to twist it a little bit sometimes. you put it through there like that, and then this end you cut with your scissors. You just cut it so that it ends, and that's your piece. So that's how I unthread my skeins. It's the quickest way I know for me, and I think it works pretty well. So, right, so that's, I'll get back to those in a moment. Now, there was some amusement, I think, by some of my viewers at the size of the chart that I showed you last time of the heaven on earth, because I stuck it all together into this massive big chart here. Now the thing is, I did that because I always have, it's like having a map. So especially for this particular one, because there are no real landmarks on it. I mean, you've got your seat there, but the rest of it, you wouldn't necessarily know if you were in this bit or if you were over here somewhere, because a lot of it's quite similar. So it's good to have a map that you can refer your pages to, because I have this all stuck together, and then on the chart, which I can't really show you, but I'll show you on this side. This top corner, I would have number 1, and the page would be page 1. Then I'd label it 2, and I know exactly where each page fits. So if I pick up page 9, I can refer on my big map exactly to where that is in the actual piece, which makes it a lot easier, because I think there would be a risk, if you're going page by page, that you could get either lost if you weren't gridding. I don't even know how you'd do it without gridding, to be quite honest. But I mean, I think some people just start up in the left corner and they go page by page. And I guess that works really well for them, and I can get that. But I think I would just get lost. So for me, because I am lousy at maths, you know, I can add something up 3 times and get a different answer for each one. Because I'm hopeless at it, I really have to go to great extremes in order to not go crackers when I'm stitching. Now here is my gridding that I have finished now for Heaven on Earth. And I'm one of those people that really enjoys gridding. I think it's very relaxing. And I've marked my top. And so here is the gridding. And I did show you how I grid in my last video, for anyone who would like to venture down that path. So there are all my grid lines. And as you can see here, with white thread, wish you could see it, hang on a tick, where's my middle there? I don't know if it's going to pick it up, but I have some white thread there that goes right across, and some white thread going down that marks my, oh there it is, I couldn't see it myself, just there and there. That is my absolute centre. So I happen to know that the centre there, because I've looked at it, is a particular colour, and I'm going to get that colour out, and I'm going to do the alpha stitch for everyone to see for the first stitch in my piece. So I will get that out now. Now my cards, they're all, look at the colours, aren't they just beautiful? Lovely DMC colours. Yeah. And there. Now, of course, you wouldn't be using all every single thread that's in here. I mean, that one, I mean, you wouldn't use a great deal of that. But I like to have everything together anyway, and then I can put it on bobbins later, because even though it's cut, I just put it on the bobbin one after the other, you know, so that it's all bobbinated, and then if I need to use it, I just take it off again and put it on cards. And all of my cards, I've got the symbols on there as well. Anything that looks like something else, like another symbol, I put look on there, just to call my attention to make sure that I'm doing that symbol and not another one. Right, so the one that I'm starting the first stitch with, and I won't put my ring on because I'm only just doing this one stitch at the moment, is that one. It's like an A, 155. So I'll just pull that one out, which I usually use the needle to pull it out, you know, the back of the needle. I'll just get one of my needles here. Make sure I've got the top there. I come down, I find my very centre. Oh, well, that's a bit hard to do it here because I should have used darker thread for the middle, because this lighting isn't great today in here either. But anyway, take it from me that that's the middle there. So we'll just put our first stitch in. On the long journey. Start with the loop stitch. I feel like I'm not being very clear today. I'm sorry about that. I think I'm a bit distracted because we're going to be going away next week, and I'm going to be jolted out of my my little haven for a while. And much as I think it'll be okay, I just don't really, I'm like a crab, I like my little shell. But anyway, so I think I'm just a bit distracted. Let me just get this right. It's a bit like live TV, nothing goes right. And see, my top stitch is from the top left, right to the bottom left. A lot of people go the other way, but that's the way I go. Right, so here's me loop stitch. Because I have my loop on the top to begin with. And then, yeah, well, this is just not a great success. But anyway, I should take it from me. That's the first part. And then I shall just bring the next stitch down. And there it is going in. And there's our first cross. And they do say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And basically, there's a lot of wisdom in that. So, was there anything else I had to show you? Some people have gone through their whips. You know, they've done a half-yearly review. But I did show you quite a few of those not so long ago. So I thought, well, I won't go through those again, and we're up to 40 minutes anyway. And I think that I'll leave it there today, because, you know, when you're starting to annoy yourself, I think I'm starting to annoy myself a bit. Well, I mean, I've got so many things to do as well, and yeah, so I don't know when I'm going to do my next video, because, as I say, we're going to be going away for a little while, and I'm not sure. I mean, you know, we'll be coming back in a week or so, I guess. I don't know, but it could go a bit longer than that. So I won't say exactly when my next video will be, but it will be in July, because I have something that I've planned for July, because it's Joan Elliott July. So I do have something planned for that. And so I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you to all my subscribers and all the people who comment. You know, Pam and Steph, I think Pam was saying that they have the best commenters on Flosstube. Well, for once, I do take a little bit of an opposing view there, because I think well, I'm not saying that I do, but I'm saying that they're at least on a par, and maybe, you know, a bit more so. But then she'd probably say the same thing, so that's fine. But no, I just have a great affection for the people who watch, and the people who take the time to put a comment in. It's just very sweet to do that. I mean, it shows a great generosity of spirit, especially saying such kind things. You know, I mean, it's so easy to complain. You know, I mean, I always make a point, if I like something, I will ring up the company or whatever and tell them. And I know there was a toilet roll company, and what happened was, these toilet rolls, I like them. I think they're really good, because, you know, when you get a toilet roll out and you're going to put it on the holder, and it sort of has that glue on it, and you have to sort of get the first sheet up to put it on the roll. This particular one, it's a really good one. It's very easy to lift it up. You know, doesn't glue itself so that you lose 4 or 5 sheets trying to get it off. So I rang up and I said, oh, you know, I have something to say. And she said, what, is it a complaint? And I said, no. I said, I'm going to give you a compliment. You know, she went, oh, that's good. And so, you know, I mean, that's the thing to remember. I mean, if something's really good, it's always good to let someone know about it, you know, just tell them so that they feel better about it. You know, what was I going to say? Oh, I've lost my thread now. I was going to say something about... Oh, that's right. So, you know how you do something really nice and you want to get it framed professionally, and you think, oh, it's a lot of money. But I always think, if I have to have anything done to the house, if I have to have it painted, or we have to have anything, I always think, well, it's putting food on their table. It's supporting a family. You know, that's how I look at it. I mean, you might be paying for it, but it's not money that's going down the drain. It's money that's, you know, going into that person's life and enriching them and letting them support their family and allowing them to buy things in turn, and they put food on someone else's table. So I know my daughter, I didn't realise how often I'd said that, but my daughter the other day, she was having something done to her house and she said, it's putting food on their table, Mum. And I thought, well, that's what it is doing. So that's very good. All right. Not to say that, it's not a good idea to go and buy a frame and frame yourself, because you're buying from a shop and it's putting food on their table. So there you go. Oh, right, I'm waffling now. So until I see you next time, all the very best from Mary Rose at Stitch Bliss Corner, and bless you all. Bye for now.